Good morning. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the song Holy Spirit. Before we start on that, just as to back up a step, and this may be total review for you, and if it is, I apologize. So the trick with playing from just a chord sheet versus playing by notation is when you play by notation, obviously, you play exactly what's written. There's really no decision making on the part of the musician. You play as it's written. When you play from a chord sheet, it's constant decisions. And in the case of the song Holy Spirit, the intro is D5, G major 7, D5, G major 7. So that's very vague, very basic, instructions. You got to figure out the rest, and you make all those decisions as the keyboard player. So, having said that, the whole thing is based off of a 7-note scale. So if we're in the key of D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 8. So there's your 7-note scale. Everything is based on that. So when you see something that says D5, all that really means is you got your D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the 5, is the A note. So a D5, at its very basic, that's a D5. You can always add your left hand in. Typically when I'm playing piano or keyboard or pads or whatever, I'll play the left hand as an octave. And I don't usually play it very heavy-handed, because if you have a bass player and you're both down in that same low end, it gets really muddy really fast. So I'll play, for a D5, there's an octave on your left hand, and then, so there's, at the very basic, that's that first chord, D5. Now, a D5, a D5 could be here, a D5 could be here, it could be here, it could be here. Every one of those is a variation of a D5. But you just, again, that's part of the decision-making process as a keyboard player. You got to interpret what's the best way to play a D5 that's going to serve this song, that's going to achieve the atmosphere, that it's going to convey the emotion that you're wanting to convey. Typically, I try to keep things as close together with your right hand as possible. Meaning, here's your chord number 1 is a D5, a G major 7. Is that, you don't want to be bouncing around from chord 1 to chord 2 to chord 3. You want to try to keep it all in the same area, and by doing that you usually have to play a different variation. So here's your D5. A G major 7 is basically a G chord, 1, 3, 5, except you take the root, in this case a G, down a half step to play an F sharp. That is and then with the left hand, there's your G, there's your G major 7. It's kind of a jazz chord. It's just a different way to color the chord. Now in this case, you could play a D5 and then go to G major 7. And that's not horrible. But then every time you're playing another chord, you got to pick up your hand. And when you do that, now you've either got to be really good to be able to do it without looking, or you're going to be staring at the keyboard because you're picking up your hand, and now you got to find all new notes. So what I like to do, and it just sounds better too, is I'll do different variations. Meaning, instead of playing the G major 7 up here, I'll take that top D and drop it an octave down here. So instead of here, I'm playing. And one of the reasons I do that, so you go from your D chord, my thumb is on the D, then the G major 7, my thumb is still on the D. So it's kind of like my anchor point. So that way I can play a D, and it doesn't take too long before I can switch to this chord, and I don't even have to look because my hand is not moving, really. I'm not picking it up and moving it. I'm playing the D5, and then going to the D major or the G major 7. And then whatever little passing notes you want to add in between there. That's, again, part of the whole decision-making thing. But that's one reason, and it just sounds smoother too. Then when you go to the third chord, when you get down to the chorus, that E minor 7, and E minor 7, here's your E minor, one, you know, the E, the G, and the B is an E minor chord, and I got my E on my left hand. The 7 just means you take the root and go down a step to the 7 note, which is the D. So that's an E minor 7 chord. But again, we factor in the whole, we got our D5, our G major 7. My thumb is still on that same D constant. Then I'm going to play the E minor 7 this way. So my thumb is a constant the entire song. There's nothing worth more that will ever come close. No thing can compare. Right there's that D, it's my anchor. And then in the chorus, Holy Spirit, you are welcomed here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. So by choosing that fingering for those 3 chords, my thumb is going to play that note virtually the entire song. So, and that's not always good, but in this particular case it's good because you're going to be playing a pad. So, you know, where I'm kind of doing this quarter note thing right here because I'm on a piano sound, you'll be on a long sustain, like I'll switch it to strings. It's kind of similar to it. So, I'll go back to piano, it's just easier to hear. So your D5, G major 7, E minor 7, and then back to D5. Those are essentially the only 3 chords you're going to play in this entire song. And so that D on your thumb is going to be a constant. It's a lot easier than playing, say, a D, then picking up your hand, going to a G major 7, then picking up your hand and go to an E minor 7. All correct chords, but it makes for a very choppy, you know, song. It doesn't make for a very smooth transition from one chord to the other, where if you're doing it this way, D, so that's one way to play Holy Spirit. It's not the only way, it's not necessarily the best way, it is one way. A lot of times I'll play it a little lower, where I do the D down low, and then that's that same constant there. That D is the same. Now the totally alternate fingerings, it's a little bit lower down the keyboard. It's a little more mellow of a sound, but it works. If I was playing straight piano, I would probably play it down here. But playing a pad sound, I'd probably bring it up to here, you know, because you're going to let that drone on, kind of like I am right now. So that's probably enough for this song. That's enough jibber jabber. Holler if you have any questions. You know, please don't. If I blew past something that didn't make any sense, ask, or if I spent 3 minutes talking about something you already know, let me know so I don't do it next time. Thank you. Appreciate it.